Hey, hope you guys are doing well. My name's Hans, and in this video, we're going to be going over spiritual sex life for men, how to have sex with spiritual intent to raise the vibration inside your body to feel more love. And that's the point of all spiritual exercises. When it comes down to it, is to just feel more love, happiness, and peace as much as you possibly can in your life. Don't get distracted by all these deities and ascended masters and astrology and crystals and shit. Just love is the main thing. So how do we achieve this state? This state where you're feeling God's divine love. God is love. You are love. You're God. So how do you get to that state? Sex is one part of it. Okay? There's many different parts, like meditation. There's many different paths that all lead to the ocean. Meditation, yoga, breathing exercises, taking psychedelics, diet, and sex is one of those. There's a couple different paths. Of course, celibacy is just a short-term band-aid, but the long-term solution is to learn how to have spiritual sex. So what's the point of, first, let's talk about celibacy. Why do people even do that? That sounds horrible, right? Who wants to just give up sex? That's ridiculous. It sounds horrible. The point is to increase the amount of sexual energy within one's body to awaken the Kundalini. If you don't know what that is, watch my video on it. But it's basically the divine, creative, sexual life force energy within us, coiled at the base of our spine, that you can raise that frequency up your body to your heart and create these states of love and bliss. And by retaining your semen through celibacy, it's a shortcut to holding it in for a long enough time to feel this enlightened state, in combination with some type of other spiritual practices, like the ones I mentioned before: breathing exercises, yoga, psychedelics, things like that. And so now let's talk about spiritual sex. Most people in the West call it tantric sex. Tantric sex is not the same thing. Tantra is an umbrella term for a bunch of different practices developed in India, where they chant mantras to different deities to transcend their human state of suffering, to become like a reflection of the deity whose characteristics they like. And well, to get into that quickly, it's just creating these frequencies with your voice. That's what these mantras do, that vibrate your mind and your body at that frequency. So that's not what I'm talking about when I talk about spiritual sex. That is one aspect of Tantra, but if it was actual tantric sex, they'd be chanting these mantras to the deities as a couple together, which, think about how that would go if you ask a girl to come home with you and you're like starting chanting mantras and shit. Probably not the best date idea. I don't know if you're gonna get laid again after that one. So what I'm referring to is spiritual sex, and how to have spiritual sex involves holding in the semen, having a non-ejaculatory orgasm or multiple non-ejaculatory orgasms in one session with your partner to raise that sexual energy up the spine, and not, instead of letting it out, draining yourself. So how to do this? So there's a term in yoga, it's called Mula Bandha, and this means root lock. It's used during pranayamic breathing exercises to force that Kundalini energy up the spine. What this involves is muscle contractions of the sphincter and the anus, the perineum, which is the space between the testes and the anus, as well as your penis. Like when you're stopping a pee midstream, it's that same contraction. You want to contract those three areas simultaneously before you orgasm, and start breathing deeply into the belly. That's one of the main things. Don't breathe most people are breathing just into the throat or upper chest. You want to have breathe properly into the belly like this. Like your belly should be coming out when you are breathing into this area. And just start breathing deeply. And instead of getting to 100% arousal by, just doing the jackhammer, maybe take it a little bit slower, only go up to 85% and back off a little bit while contracting these muscles, while breathing deeply, and you can have a non-ejaculatory orgasm, and then just keep going, and you can have more orgasms. This really helps your girlfriend or your wife because you last longer and you can have sex for longer. So now let's talk about what happens if you have been orgasming too much and ejaculating too much. Not orgasming too much, I just mean, spilling the seed a little too often. How to recover from the refractory period. And diet is a big part of that, but also breathing exercises. So I typically for breakfast eat a lot of fruit, for lunch I eat a lot of vegetarian foods, and for dinner I eat meat. But when it comes to an ejaculation, I'll incorporate some more hard-boiled eggs with my diet, some sushi, some raw fish, some more beef. These things can really help recover from that energy loss, because you can think of how many nutrients it takes to build more sperm. There's millions of sperm in one ejaculation, and each of those sperm could fertilize an egg, create a new life form like you when your parents made the Big Bang, when they banged. And so by holding it in, instead of all those nutrients going to making more sperm, it's going to nourish your body, raise your vibration, feel more love, peace and happiness, divinity. And so by eating these foods, it gives your body a lot more nourishment to build that back up again. And then the next day, what you want to do are breathing exercises. You can think of like the Wim Hof method. That's a variation of Tumo created by Tibetan monks. And there's some other ones you can do, which I'll make a video on how to actually do the practices. But until then, just you want to look up Kapalbhati, Bhastrika, which is the breath of fire, and alternate nostrils breathing. And these will really get that energy flowing, that kundalini energy flowing, that sexual energy up the spine, feeling full of vitality and life force energy, feeling more love and peace and happiness. Again, just use common sense when it comes to how much you ejaculate. If you're getting a lot of blue balls, maybe it's your body telling you to ejaculate more frequently. If not, then maybe you could hold it up to a month even, or 6 weeks even, or just only ejaculate once a week. It's up to you. Just use common sense. Don't do it too much, or you're going to be having like a hangover from ejaculating too much. Not a hangover, but a refractory period where you get tired and low energy. And so another good tip to overcome blue balls: take a cold shower, get out, go for a run, exercise. It gets that blood flowing away from the testes and throughout the rest of the body. Now, if this video helps you guys, leave a thumbs up. Check out my other ones. I make videos on just different spiritual practices, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Thanks. Peace.